So today, I'm going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3. I did do a video game analysis video on Kingdom Hearts 3 a couple of months back. The link will be in the description. I won't really be covering the things that I covered in that video because some information has changed now that I've played an extensive period of time within the game. Also, I won't be talking about and revealing some spoilers. This is more of a first impressions video, so that way you can understand my thoughts on it and maybe have some thoughts of your own on the game. So, the first thing about the game that I noticed was how fun it was to play. The combat is the best part of the game. The combat has multiple different layers to it. It has the Keyblade combat, where you're very, very familiar with, where it's just you and Sora just fighting Heartless and nobodies, and you can change out the Keyblades, and then the Keyblades, because of certain combos that you have, I think it stacks up to 3 times because of how often you use the Keyblade. It will stack a combo, and that combo will allow you to change your Keyblade form. And I was really surprised at how different all of the Keyblades played. And again, I haven't played the full game. I've only gotten to about maybe 10 hours into the game. But one of my favorite Keyblades was the Twilight Town Keyblade, where you could go from a basic Keyblade to now twin pistols to now a Mega Cannon, and that Mega Cannon has a finish. And then my favorite Keyblade in the entire game is the Toy Story Keyblade, where it starts off with a basic Keyblade, then it turns into a jet-powered hammer, and then that hammer has a finishing move, but you can also turn the hammer into a drill, and that drill has a combo that's really, really cool, and then it has a combo reset, or not a combo reset, but also a finishing move as well, where the drill becomes a claw, which I think is really, really cool. And there's also rides in the game where, depending on which enemy you attack, it usually has a green circle on it. You get a specific ride, and some of the rides are so much fun to use. And I'm 10 hours in, and I've used the same rides over and over and over again, almost in every single combat situation. Since I've unlocked rides, I've had the opportunity of using rides. And there are some of the rides, like my favorite ride is the video game ride, ironically. And the rides are just so much fun. There's the carousel, which is so much fun. It's kind of like a rhythm game. The funness that you have in this game, and yes, the funness, I cannot believe I used that word, but the funness that you have in this game is undescribable. It really is. There's mini games within the game. There's a Ratatouille game, which is fun. Even the Gummy Ship, to an extent. I know a lot of people dislike the Gummy Ship. I personally liked it. I liked it because it was somewhat an old school arcade shooter in a pretty modern game, and it broke away from the combat, which also includes you teaming up with partners. Now, I don't have a lot of footage of the links for you, but I mean, you can link up with Wreck-It Ralph. You can link up with an inflatable pig, I think. And the gameplay, it just gets... And on top of that, on top of the links that you have, you can also link up with Donald and Goofy and Buzz and Woody and Rapunzel and all of these other characters that you meet in your adventures. The gameplay really constantly changes, and it is constantly fun. Even the lesser parts, even the Gummy Ship, and even the Ratatouille aspect, even those parts are fun. And then you transition from the gameplay to the level design. I think the level design in Kingdom Hearts 3 is some of the best level design I've seen in a really, really long time in a video game. I can't really describe it to you. You have to play it. For me, I think the game's purpose is you go from one place to another, all while fighting your way through enemies to a specific objective, to a point. It is extremely linear, I might add, but it is also really, really fun. And the game design helps you flow combat into the levels, and it's just, they've done a phenomenal job with planning the game and making sure the combat feels nice, and it also flows in with the levels, and that characters really match certain play styles. Like I never really use the links, or really, I don't really use the magic that much either, but I do use the Keyblades a lot, and I do use the team attacks with your party members, and it's just so well designed and so much fun. And then on top of that, you have the art style of the game. You can tell that different characters are from different animators and from different creators. You can tell that the Titans in Hercules' world are completely different from Organization 13. You can tell that Hercules and the Olympians are different from Sora and his allies, and even Yen Sid is of a different animation style than Sora and really even Donald and Goofy. And it's just, they've done, and the worlds are really, really well created. The designs of the Herculean world, from Mount Olympus to the Toy Story world in Andy's room, they're all different art styles, and they are all really, really well created and recreated as well. The game just, it looks pretty, it plays pretty, it's a very, very fun gameplay-oriented game. The only issue, and I think some people have brought this up, is for a lot of people, it's the story. For me, it wasn't. I've done some research on the story, but for me, it was the dialogue.
Agreed.
The dialogue, and I'll leave this up to you, and I'll show you some clips here in a second, but the dialogue to me was one of the worst aspects of the game.
First time.
Uh-huh. It was a test to see if your data version was ready to face the hurt that you carry inside.
Was I ready?
It's not just for the cheese and olives.
You were feeling down and out.
Why do you think we came here?
Got me, Donald.
It's based around this really, really weird delivery of the dialogue that I kind of like think to myself, I'm like, that's not how you deliver a line. And it's just the simplest way that I can describe the dialogue is it's really, really inconsistent. Some of the core Disney characters to the game, like Hades, his voice actor is reprising his role, and Zachary Levi, the guy who played Flynn Rider in Tangled, he also reprised his role. I think the girl from Tangled, Rapunzel from Tangled, I don't know the actress's name, but I think she reprised her role. But there's voice actors that you can tell, oh yeah, that's a voice actor. That's the original voice actor from the movie. But even then, even when Hades has great lines of dialogue, he also has weird lines of dialogue. And not to mention Sora's lines, they're just so weird. And sometimes you get lines from the characters, from Disney characters, like the Woody line where he says agreed in a really, really robotic way. It's just, it pulls you out of the cutscene and makes you think, well, that's not how real people talk. That's not how people communicate with one another. And it wouldn't be that big of an issue if the majority of the game was cutscenes. Like if the game was, hey, go from here to here, boom, boom, we're gonna have cutscenes before you enter the world, maybe in the middle, and then after. But I mean, it's literally like every single level, or not every single level, but almost every single time you fight, there's a cutscene. And it just stacks on. It's cumulative. The deficiencies within the dialogue, they just are cumulative. And it gets to the point where, for me, I started to get bored. I got real bored real fast because it's like a stop-start every single time to the flow of the game. It ruins the flow. It's like being in a Maserati, revving up the engine, getting the car hot and warm, and you yourself, you're getting prepared to speed and be violent and go fast. And then the passenger or whoever is in the car with you slams on the brakes just as you've taken off and said, we have to read you the rules of the Maserati or something ridiculous like that. It's like, no, I want to go fast. I want to play the game. I want to, the story is interesting, but I want to play the game. That's why I'm here. And it just pulled me out of the game so often and so annoyingly that it really does wane on the experience, at least for right now. I know that there's more worlds. I haven't experienced everything yet, but I thought that this was a really, really strong contender for Video Game of the Year. And I mean, it's not. I don't think it's better than Spider-Man PS4. I don't think it's better than God of War. And it's not even close. It really isn't, unfortunately. So I still like it if you're into gameplay, a lot of fun gameplay. If you're into a lot of cutscenes, this is the perfect game for you. But if you don't like the cutscenes, just skip them. You'll still have a pretty fun time with the combat. This has been 24. Remember to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe for more. Metro Exodus is coming out next week. I'm very, very excited for that game. Also, a Respawn Entertainment stream is going on as I'm recording this. I'm going to watch a little bit of that. I'm going to talk about that hopefully this Friday. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.